Hello and welcome to the San Jose State Weekly Football Press Conference. 3-0 for San Jose State following their win in Southern California over San Diego State on Friday. San Jose State first 3-0 start since 1982. The Spartans will be at home this week on Saturday against UNLV. That's the 14th of November, 7:30 kickoff. It'll be televised on FS2. Pre-game coverage on the Spartan Radio Network, including 1220 KDOW and TuneIn, will begin at 7 o'clock with our pregame show from SEFCU Stadium. Before we get to Coach Brennan, though, for the second consecutive week, the Spartans have a member of the Mountain West Players of the Week, the Defensive Player of the Week in the Mountain West Conference this week, Trey Jenkins, for his efforts down in San Diego for San Jose State. So a nice acknowledgement. Coach, we'll head it over to you.
Okay. Thanks for showing up. Good to see everybody. This past week was a really great win for us. I was just really proud of our team. I think how they responded to, Starkle getting hurt early and Nick getting in and Nick Nash coming in and him getting settled. Took him a couple series to get settled. And during that time, we needed to play good defense and we needed to be good in the kicking game. And so it's just kind of obviously, something we like to call with Nick Nash are different than we like to call with Nick Starkle. And so it's just kind of I thought it was just great how our team stuck together and just kept battling. There were plays made in all three phases that gave us a chance to win. I thought our defensive effort was incredible, considering what, San Diego State had been doing, running the football in their first couple games. I thought Coach Odom and the defensive staff was just outstanding. So it was a lot of fun. It was a great, locker room, a lot to be excited about. And I thought the players, handled that well and just really enjoyed it. And this team really cares about each other. They play for each other. And I think that gives us a chance to play good football. So, that game's gone and we're now busy getting ready for UNLV.
All right, we're going to open it up to questions. Going to start with Chris Alvarez. Go ahead, Chris.
Hi, Coach. Chris Alvarez from ABC7 here in the Bay Area. First off, congratulations. What a great start. I saw a tweet. The baseball team, 2 a.m. in the morning. What was it like to have them cheering you guys on? And what does it say about kind of where this program's going and the community you guys have there at SJSU?
Those guys are awesome. It's really cool because I think Marie Tuitt, who's on here, she's done an incredible job building the athletic department, encouraging the coaches and the teams to support each other, and the players and the student athletes across all sports really support each other. And the kids are really embracing that. And I know last year, our baseball team, they were the ones that were just rocking the student section at the games. I mean, they were holding it down. They were bringing people in. They were encouraging. They were grabbing everybody. And they were just going wild, just having fun. And so when we came home, we saw those guys. It was so great. We were all there. It was funny because it's like COVID, so they're all masked up and social distancing. But they were cheering loud, and it was just a cool thing. I think you come home from a big win like that. How can you not feel good seeing some of the other athletes at your school support each other? So it was a great moment. It was really, really neat.
I have a quick follow-up on Derrick Jr. Had a nice game, and what have you seen in his progress? And also with that, do you think that him having his dad that played in the NFL background has kind of helped him develop? What have you seen of his growth in your program?
Well, I think, Matt Atkins is doing a great job coaching him and has been his whole time here. When we recruited Diese, he was a junior college wide receiver, but just looked like he was going to grow into a tight end. Big, long arms and kind of big, lanky body. And then just to see his development has been outstanding. And I think he's just gone next level with it. He's really embraced kind of the blocking aspects of playing a tight end. He's playing with really good physicality. I think you get, obviously there's probably some coaching there from dad or some conversations, but Derrick's got, Junior has really long arms. And so he latches onto people and does a great job being physical at the point of attack. So he's a really great kid. I mean, he's awesome. 3.0 wall kid every semester. He's just a joy to be around. He's just, becoming a really, really good football player, which is kind of fun to see. And his dad's been really supportive of the program. And I hear from his dad quite a bit, just supporting what we're doing and where we're going. So I think it's a win-win across the board there.
Thanks.
All right, going to head over to Justice de Los Santos. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, Justice Los Santos, Bay Area News Group. I know you don't comment specifics on injuries, but you did mention Starkle. Do you anticipate him practicing this week as well as potentially starting this upcoming Saturday against UNLV?
Hi, Justice. We don't talk about injuries around here, so thanks for the question, but we're going to move on.
Justice, do you have any follow-up?
Not right now. I can wait later down the line.
He'll give me later. He's just warming up, Justin.
I figured as much. Chris Vanini, go ahead.
Yeah, Chris Vanini from The Athletic. Brent, you guys have obviously improved every year that you've been there. Did you see, not necessarily 3-0, but did you think coming into the season that you guys, could take a step forward despite losing somebody like Josh Love last year?
Yeah, I think that's always the goal, is to just keep moving forward and finding ways to improve. It was obviously, there were so many unknowns. 2 months ago, we didn't think we were playing football this fall. So it's, that part of it, COVID, shelter in place, just kind of what the world's been through, what we've been through in the Bay, has made all those things interesting. So, Chris, did I think we'd be better? I did. But I absolutely did not know how COVID and everything, that was happening would impact our progress as a team. That was really hard to project.
Did the 2 weeks or so you guys spent at Humboldt State, what did you guys take out of that outside of typically getting work in? I mean, is there a better camaraderie among the group or anything like that when you go through something like that?
Absolutely, was a real positive, and that was, I think a lot of credit there belongs to Marie Tuitt and Charlie Foss, our CFO, and Dr. Papazian, our president, because when they realized that we had a game less than a month out and everybody in our conference were already practicing and we weren't, and we had to get ready, they had to get creative with some solution for us. And so us being able to go up there and have that experience was awesome. It was totally different. It was definite lockdown. We didn't leave the campus. Everybody was in the dorms. It was like, I don't know, if I'm thinking about college, it felt like the freshman dorms at UCLA all over again. Just small dorm rooms, community bathroom, pick up dinner in this spot and go back to your room, study hall in your room by yourself every night. So it was just, but the thing that was cool is that we were all together. And so I absolutely think that was healthy for our camaraderie, especially because they hadn't been together for 5 months before, right? They really had not, even though they were lifting in groups, they had not all been together, right? We had whatever the number was at the time. Initially, it was 13 at a time, and then it was maybe 25, or I forget how the protocol kind of escalated, but we certainly hadn't had 105 guys and another 20 coaches all together, and so we got to do that at Humboldt.
Okay, Steve Kroner, go ahead.
Steve Kroner from the San Francisco Chronicle. Brent, last week at this time, I asked you to put what a San Diego State win would have meant to your program in historical terms. And you deftly kind of turned it around, just said, I want to focus solely on this year's team. Now that you've won it 3 days later, and you put it in historical terms?
I don't think we can put anything in historical terms until we've actually done something, right? We've won 3 games. We've got 5 left. I'm sure you're all sitting there saying that sounds like, coach talk or whatever, but like, this is the ultimate result-oriented business, and no one cares what you did yesterday or last week. It doesn't matter. And so I'm really proud of our team. I thought it was an awesome win for our school and our program, especially considering where San Diego State is at and has been as a football program. It's someone we respect and really, quite honestly, admire. But this is all about the next one now. And, that will be historical if we play well this week and if we play well the next week, right? Like, none of it matters if we don't play well going forward. So that's really, like, it sounds singular in my focus, but it really is.
Makes sense.
Okay, Curtis, go ahead.
Hey, Brent, this is Curtis from the Mercury News. You mentioned obviously the getting greeted once you guys got off the bus. early Saturday morning, and then I saw a tweet about the celebration in the locker room as well. What kept it? How did you keep the faith? Those first couple of years obviously were pretty lean. Did you think at that time that maybe it was possible to have moments like that those last few days?
I would say, Curtis, what choice do you have? I mean, I don't think, if you're trying to do something that has been challenging over the years, when you run into the roadblocks or you run into the obstacles, your only choice is to keep moving forward, to keep a good thought about you, to try and encourage people to believe, and hopefully some things that demonstrate that you can or prove that you can. And there's been times like that. I know going into 2019 season, I clipped screenshots of 6 scoreboards that I showed our team where we were tied or leading in the fourth quarter in 2018. And that was a bad year, but we were tied or leading the game in the fourth quarter. And, and we lost all those games, and so, and then, but that was part of no, hey, there's improvement here for the players. Like, no, we're close. We just need to, whatever it was. And then last year there was a little more of that, but even looking at last year, I think we felt like we let 3 to 5 games get away from us. It could have been the difference in having a really amazing season. So, I think, it doesn't matter if it's football or if it's life, when hard stuff happens, I think, you have a choice how you want to handle it. And, as a guy leading young men, like, I want them to learn how to overcome adversity and how to stare it down and attack it and find ways to keep moving forward.
I mean, you mentioned that, you're turning the page now and it's on to UNLV, but did you take a minute to sort of just appreciate how far this program has come in the last couple of years?
No, I'm not really thinking that way, Curtis. I was just really excited about the San Diego State win. I was so excited for our players and, our administration, who's obviously stuck with us and been through a lot in the process of trying to build a program here at San Jose State that we can all be proud of. But it was so awesome for the players, right? Again, just like whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Well, they proved that they thought they could, and they just kept playing and making the plays. And that was the magic in that night for me, was just the way the team kept playing for each other.
Okay, up next is Victor. Go ahead.
Hi, Victor Aquino, Mountain West Connection. Hey, Coach. I kind of see where these questions are leaning towards, but with this crazy year, the gravity of the election, San Jose State's own socio-political history, where might you place the team's perspective to what you're achieving so far and you look back at it? I mean, I know there was this feeling with everybody over the weekend, but considering what you're doing and what hopefully you might be doing, just your feeling just from like a humanities kind of standpoint.
Well, I think being involved with college athletics, you just have a really unique opportunity to be involved with young people as they grow and mature and figure out who they want to be. And the last 8 months have given us a whole lot of material there to work through and, digest and try and come up with thoughts or plans or ideas of how, they can better impact their own process or their local process or, even, kind of the bigger world picture. So, I think this team's special because of how they've handled all that and the conversations they're willing to have. Obviously, our coaching staff's really involved in that. We embrace that part of it, which I think is healthy and brings us together. It's awesome to see these young men have these conversations and getting the whole team registered to vote. Like the players did that. I didn't do that, So there's just so many things that they've done, the conversations, the sincerity. Friday night, Christian Webb, had to miss part of our team meeting because he was involved with the panel with the African American Community Center here in San Jose. Like, It's just this is the right stuff to be doing right now. And the football is the football, either play well enough or you don't. But I think the stuff that we're doing or that we've done in the last few months together has given us a chance to play better.
Okay, Andrew Payne, go ahead. You're next.
Yes, Andrew Pang of 24/7 Sports. So Brent, clearly last year there was a lot on the line for the team when they went to UNLV, most especially bowl eligibility. So, and what happened, and the result of that game, I can attest that it was clearly heartbreaking to many fans, and it had to really sting to you and the team. So, thinking back to some of your comments from Friday night, there were moments during the San Diego State game when some of your guys and some of their guys were getting in each other's faces. So for this weekend's game against UNLV, considering what happened last year and this past week, how hungry do you feel for a win, and how do you make sure that the players keep their emotions in check?
Thank you for bringing up the UNLV game from a year ago. I appreciate that. I think football is an emotional game, and I think it's really important that we keep ourselves in check that way, that we control our emotions, that we're able to play the game the right way from snap to whistle, that we're appropriate in how we handle the ups and downs and the challenges that a football game can present. I don't think it'll matter that we're playing UNLV and they beat us a year ago. I think it just matters that we have a game and we have a new opponent that we get the opportunity to compete with. They've got a new coaching staff. They've got a really good group of coaches in there. Coach Arroyo and I were on staff here together for a long time, and we're really close. And so, I know they'll be ready to play, and that's really all we're worried about or thinking about right now, Andrew, is how do we get ready?
Okay, Jason, you're up next. Go ahead.
Jason North, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Coach Arroyo talked a little bit about that relationship that you guys have, but it is his first year. He's trying to build something, and they have improved every week, even though they don't have a win yet. But what stands out to you most about UNLV that you've been able to see so far on film?
They're playing really hard. They're playing really, really hard. Defensively, they run to the football. It's obvious on tape, and even when I talked to the coaches from San Diego State last week, they were like, "Hey, those guys are playing hard at Vegas." Obviously, I think they've done some really good stuff offensively. Obviously, you saw the plays that QB made a week ago. Was really, really impressive. Obviously, Tyreek has been running, catching the ball extremely well. I really like their young receivers. They were two high school kids that we knew coming up. I feel like Charles Williams has been there for 100 years. He's been giving us fits forever. I think they've got a really good group there. Everyone in this conference is good. Everyone in this conference is well coached. And so, we're busy getting ready for a very talented, well-coached UNLV team. And we're dead serious about being ready for this thing. So, I know they'll be ready, and I'm excited to see us play.
Okay, Jackson, go ahead.
Jackson Moore, 24/7 Sports. Coach, only 3 games into the season, but due to the delay, I believe just 5 weeks from signing day, there were reports that you got a new director of player personnel. Is that official? Can you confirm that? And any comments on what he brings and what that means at this time of year?
Yeah, we're excited. We hired Gali Wadood, and he played here. So it's always good when you can bring, a Spartan back to the homeland, and we're really excited about it. He's a really good guy. I think he's going to really help us. He's got incredible energy. We had an incredible amount of interest in that job, like hundreds and hundreds of people applying, and so it just kind of went through the process. And Gali was really impressive in the interview process. So it was awesome to be able to, like I said, bring one of our own back home. And I think he's going to make great contribution to helping us build this thing here.
Okay, Justice de Los Santos, back to you.
Hey, Coach. I believe it was after the New Mexico game where you alluded to the physical maturation of some of the guys on your team. But with each 3 of these wins being of the close variety where, you're getting to the third quarter, the fourth quarter, you have to make these big time plays. What can you say about the mental aspect of it, the mental maturation of your team compared to just last season where 3 of your losses came by 3 points or fewer?
I just think that the process and what they've been through together is helped that mental toughness. I think so many times, as parents or in society, we're kind of removing the struggle from our own children and making things easier on them. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. As hard as those lessons were, whether it's a year ago or the year before, for those players on our team, they learn from them. And, so I think help build some of that justice, understanding what it takes to finish a football game.
Okay, Chris Alvarez, going back to you.
Hey, Coach, obviously there was a couple of there's been some cancellations, the Pac-12, also the Mountain West. So how seriously are you guys taking the COVID protocols? And also, you're almost at the halfway point, so every game means so much. What has the season been like as far as urgency and those type of things, and also battling COVID and just making sure your guys are on top of that?
I would say first and foremost, it starts with the COVID protocol and our process every day. I mean, and it has since our players repopulate, in July. I mean, towards the end of July, that has been at the forefront of our process, because without them doing the right thing, we don't get to play. And we've seen that happen to multiple teams that aren't, in conference or in the country, over the last couple of months. So, I give our players a ton of credit, our medical staff a ton of credit, because of the plan they put together, and then our players executing it. I think that our COVID discipline is so important, because of how we have to operate, just to be available, right, to play. We have to go through so many steps and testing and protocols, but our players have handled it. There's been no complaining, because they're excited, they want to play, which is awesome to see. So, that's where like the whole focus has been with that, and how important it is to continue that.
And sometimes you say you can learn more in a loss, but it's better to learn lessons in a win, Coach. So where do you think your team can improve as you move forward down the stretch here?
Well, I think we can improve in lots of places. I mean, we still keep talking about our run game, which showed some signs of life late in that game last week, which definitely gave us a chance to close it out. But I still think that can be better. I think our effort can be better at times, and some of our ball placement in the kicking game, I think we need to work on. But, you're exactly right. Learning when you win is much better than learning when you don't. And, so that part of it is, can we take the lessons from that game? Or, one of the things looking at the game, I think someone asked me about at the end of the game, or in my press conference after the game, obviously we need to revisit the play for Nick Starkel score at the end of the game, right? Because, had he gone down on the 2-yard line, we could have taken a couple knees and it would have been a ball game, So, but it's also hard to tell, a sophomore guy, second-year guy who's fighting his tail off in there to like, hey, don't score, It's always a tricky one. But, so there's always good stuff to take from every game you play.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, Chris Vanini, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, what can you say about the rush defense and the way you guys have stopped the run this year? It's been a marked improvement from a year ago.
I think that's something that our defensive staff spent a lot of time talking about over COVID and shelter in place. It gave everybody a lot of time to watch a lot of film, talk to a bunch of other coaches, talk to other people, and evaluate, what we were doing and what we need to improve on. There was also some pieces of that where just that group, I think Victor asked me about just the maturity piece, but that physical maturity also, from, those guys being a year older. In our first couple of years here, we're playing a ton of freshmen and sophomores, young bodies, and, those guys have grown up and they've played a lot of football. Again, like back to the whole theme of like learning while you play, those guys got to play a lot. And so they've grown up. And so I think those things combined with like the attention to detail with the scheme and Coach Odom calling a great game has given us a chance to better against the run. And there's also a couple junior college players in there, and we got Lando Gray back from injury, a year ago. So like there's some pieces that we didn't have a year ago that are also helping that.
And you kind of talked about it earlier, but and it's only been 3 games, but finishing games. I mean, not only you mentioned the 2018 scoreboards, but last year you guys were in a lot of games and just kind of, especially defensively, got worn down as the game went on. Do you feel that this team is better suited to finish out games strong because of that strength, because of that depth?
I think the depth absolutely helps that. I think that's important. I'll think hopefully learning from that experience a year ago gives them a little bit of an understanding also of just, how critical that is. And then, my hope is that we are more mature in our process of preparation so that, we understand going to sleep at night and eating the right way and some of the stuff that young people sometimes struggle with.
Okay, back to Steve Kroner.
Yeah, Brett, excuse me. One thing you say about Kyle Harmon, he's consistent. 14 tackles each of the 3 games. Besides being consistent, how else would you describe Kyle Harmon?
Intense. He likes to play, and he just brings that intensity and that physicality to every game we play. It's really fun to see. I felt like 2 years ago against San Diego State was kind of Kyle's, like, he played really well against them 2 years ago down there. That was kind of the start of his making a move, at least in my eyes, is that, in some of the coaching staff. But yeah, he's obviously off to a great start this year. He's very, very takes it very, very serious. It's very, very important to him, and it's awesome to see it paying off in how he's playing on game day.
Justice, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I believe during the television broadcast, as you were kind of wrapping up, one of the players, I have to rewatch and see who, but yelled out top of his lungs, "I love you." And I'm curious as to, in terms of building that culture and in terms of building that relationship with the players, I'm curious as to what the process has been in terms of crafting that relationship with the team.
I don't know if it's necessarily thought of in terms of crafting that relationship. I think that's just kind of who we are as a coaching staff and who we are as a team. It was EJ and I said, "I love you too," and which I do. This team, I think it's healthy for young men to have another man tell them they love them. I think that's missing in the lives of a lot of the young people we coach and care about. And then also, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to kind of just build that trust and build that love, player to coach, coach to player, player to player, coach to coach. And that just takes time. And so, it's not necessarily thought of in terms of crafting it or building that way. I think it's just us being who we are.
Okay, just a couple more here. Jara, go ahead.
It was good, Coach. Jara Gajola from the Spear.
What's up, man?
It was good. You mentioned that you keep in contact with the other Mountain West coaches. I remember a couple of weeks ago, Danny Gonzalez, he called you in the middle of one of these. What is the relationship been with Coach Arroyo, though? Because, you work together in the same staff, and then your paths cross again on opposite sides this time.
No, yeah. Lawrence is going to be laughing at this. I talk to Marcus almost probably every other day. I was in his wedding. We're close. I talked to him yesterday morning. We kind of rehashed our games and he's, we just have a lot of history there. And I love Marcus. He's one of my favorite people in the world. And I'm really excited for him and what he's doing at UNLV. So it's going to be fun playing against him and getting ready to go. We had a lot of fun here together. We were both working for Coach Tomey. He was quarterbacks and I was receivers. And so we just spent, all kinds of hours together. So it's a great relationship, one that I'm very, very thankful for, grateful for. And it's been a lot of fun over the years as the football world keeps, separating us and bringing us back together.
Okay, Andrew Payne, go ahead.
Yes, Coach. So it's once again Andrew Payne of 24/7 Sports. How do you feel about getting about San Jose State receiving votes in the top 25 poll for the first time in 7 years?
I think that's awesome. But I just, it's the middle of the season, so it's like whatever, like it's cool, but like let's be there at the end of the season. We've only played 3 games, so that part of it is that's cool that people are excited that we and thought we did a nice job. Our team did a nice job beating San Diego State, but we got 5 games to go, and no game's more important than the one we play this week, because it's the only one we get to play this week. So, but that's cool. I didn't know that, Andrew. Thanks.
All right, final 2, Jackson Moore and then Curtis after that.
Jackson Moore, 24/7 Sports. Coach Nick Nash didn't receive a lot of media attention as far as being a recruit coming out of high school. Can you share how you guys discovered him and what that process was like to get him here?
Yeah, well, so he went to Derrick Odom's high school, which Derrick Odom, our defense coordinator, is also in the Hall of Fame there, which he, I don't know if he would let you know that, but he was, Coach Odom was a 2-sport athlete at Utah. He played football and baseball, so he was kind of the man. And so when we got Nick's tape, he was this freaky athlete, and we initially thought he was going to play safety. And then we had, a couple players here retire, and so then we went into spring practice, and Nick came in at the mid-year. So we didn't have many quarterbacks in the spring, and we're like, let's get him going to quarterback and just see what it looks like. And we were like, wow, like he can do some real stuff there, and because we knew he was super gifted, but his high school tape was a lot of him like running around, and it looked like, it just looked kind of messy, but the plays that he made were undeniable. And so we put him out there, and that was, a year and a half ago. I guess that's right. Yeah. And then we got to fall camp or we went through spring, and he played well. Like, so we're like, yeah, he's going to stay at quarterback, and he did great. And so, then there we are in our first game, and, he's running all over Northern Colorado a year ago. So it's fun to see his development as a player. I think he's got an incredibly high ceiling, and his future is extremely bright. It's going to be a lot of fun coaching him. He's an awesome kid, really competitive. And he was great on Saturday night. He didn't blink. He didn't flinch at all. Like on the sideline talking to him, he was awesome. It's really cool.
Okay, final question from Curtis. Go ahead.
I'm sure you received a handful of text messages from either former players or friends. Did anyone message you got over the weekend stand out to you that maybe was unexpected or particularly special?
592, Curtis. 592 from the end of the game to when I sat on the plane. So you're talking about like an hour and 20 minutes. So I haven't even gone through them all, to be honest with you. And I feel like a jerk because, there's someone out there is like, Coach Brennan wins a game and he's such a jerk, he can't call me back or text me back. But there was a lot of them, and they were so good. Some of my favorite ones, come from like my own kids, who are just super supportive, Blake and Casey and Scotty, or my wife. But then you get the random one from like former players, guys that haven't, Travis Jones or, Jabari Carr or guys that I haven't seen, for James Jones, like just guys are excited, and it's really cool. So, it's funny that, everyone loves you when you win. They hate you when you lose. It's the world we live in. But I do think that it's pretty cool to hear from people and know that a lot of people are excited about our process. And that's what we are. We are, ongoing. Our process is ongoing here, building a program that we can all be proud of. But there was a lot of good ones, Curtis. I don't have a great one. I wish I had a great one to be like, yes, this was like the best one ever. I just don't have one of those, I don't think.
You may have not read it yet, right?
That's true. Yeah, I'm serious. Like there's still, so I got through some of them. I'll give you guys the update. Yeah, it's at 363. So it's just, I got to get ready for, so I got a great text from Arroyo, right? I got a great text from Jeff Bedford. I got a great text from Mike McIntyre. I got a great text from, friends in the coaching profession. So it's kind of cool that way,
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for everybody for participating. UNLV, the opponent this Saturday, 7:30 kickoff from CEFQ on FS2, and our pregame coverage on KDOW and the Spartan Radio Network at 7 o'clock. We'll talk to you next week, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good week.